Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
All right, we're doing another segment of Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson. It's the 1st of September in the space and time continuum. And today was the day that a lot of stuff happened with the Trump espionage, Trump reaction to DOJ's whole thing that they put out with the picture of the documents. Anyway, it's a big day. And we had an interesting conversation when we were working together in our shop, in our small business. So I have with me here my wife, Heidi. And she brought up a really interesting point. And I want to begin, though, by apologizing because I know you left the cover off of the recycling bin for a long time yesterday. And I know that's my signal that I should take it out, and I didn't.
That is your cue, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
It's a very subtle cue, and you missed it.
I missed it again. I miss it a lot, and I want to apologize for that.
All right, apology accepted.
Okay.
So, to begin with, we need to discuss what brought this up in the first place. You were listening to a very intriguing podcast by the person behind the Twitter handle Mueller She Wrote, who is, and I don't even know her real name,
Allison Gills.
Okay, and she was interviewing Peter Strzok. Is that how you say it? Strzok? The man with the way too many consonants in his name, but I think it is Strzok.
Yeah.
And he is, what was his title when he was at the White House?
They both of these people had a lot of clearance for looking at highly classified information.
So both
they
of
know
them
a lot
held,
about.
Yeah, they held positions where they were familiar with high-level intelligence, classified information, how to handle it, etc.
Yes.
I'm not exactly sure what their exact titles were at the moment. But you were listening to this podcast where they were discussing the ever-increasing and apparent understanding that Trump has had his hands on classified documents and information for a long time. It's all been unsecured in his private residence. Nobody knows who else has seen it, who has handled it, etc. It's just opening up. This was coming on the heels of us watching a fantastic interview between Nicole Wallace and Sue Gorman. What's Sue?
Gordon,
sorry.
I believe.
Gordon?
Susan Gordon.
Sue Gordon.
We could be getting that completely wrong.
We could be getting her name wrong.
We'll
She is a long-time intelligence, highest level intelligence operative.
And she gave some hair-raising points of view about the information that Trump had. And all
the implications of what this discovery could be. All the very scary implications that this information being in an unsecured manner, being handled and dealt with so carelessly for so long, and all those the implications of that. So coming on the heels of that, and we were listening to the podcast today, and the dog is just like breathing really heavily.
Yeah.
Sleeping right underneath my feet.
Tucker.
No, he's good. He's good.
I'm sorry.
He's going to be doing his thing.
We have a dog.
We have a dog. So anyway, so we're listening to this.
I mean, they're nice. They're really nice. I love my buddy.
They're mostly a hassle. Let's be honest. So anyway, so we're listening to this podcast, and
well, one of the things they were doing was going through the different what they could see on the photograph of the different codes that would then delineate the
classified materials
classified,
just strewn about on Trump's carpeting at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, and that wasn't me. That's the FBI laid it out like that. I'm not a slob.
Right.
Look at the photos of me in my white shirt.
I had many
and my
visitors.
disheveled. Look at all the new photos of me. I think that's proof that I am not a fat slob.
It was mostly more tidy than that. I had many visitors there.
I had many visitors. I would never leave all those papers on the floor. That's my main thing. That's the main thing I'm scared about, is that people will think I'm a slob.
Right.
I can go to jail for the rest of my life, but I mostly scared people.
Okay, so talking about the different classifications.
Yes, so
and the ramifications of those things falling into the wrong hands.
And you and I began talking about why, and a lot of people are saying, why did it take 18 months then? If it, this is very serious, and obviously they knew that Trump had these things. So why did they wait 18 months? And then you came up with what I thought was
this is based on, again, referring to the excellent interview with Nicole Wallace and the intelligence officer Sue.
Mm-hmm.
Last name to be determined.
First name as well to be determined.
I'm pretty sure it's
sure it's Susan Gordon.
We're terrible with this.
So bad with names.
Before the interview, Nicole ran a snippet of an interview that Joe Biden gave in early 2021, February, I believe, just a few months into his
1 month
term. Yeah, one month into his term, just barely in there, and he was being asked about something that he had done, which was terminate Trump's ability to receive new intel briefings.
Mm-hmm. And normally an ex-president can still have access to these briefings. And oftentimes they are then used as consultants to the new president. So, a lot of presidents will call the ex-presidents that are still alive and say, hey, did you get a briefing on this? I'd really like to hear what you have
context
to think about
stuff.
that.
Yes, for the new guy. Normally that would make sense, but in this case, Biden was very adamant that that Trump's rights would be curtailed, and he basically laid it out in no uncertain terms that based on his past behavior and his observed Trump's past behavior and his observed actions and his business interests and his connections with foreign entities, Biden shut it down. Biden shut it down and said, no, very unapologetically, no, he will not be getting these. So my sense is that very quickly it was ascertained that they had a potential problem on their hands. And so the question coming up right now, why did they take so long? It occurred to me that perhaps as soon as they discovered what he was doing, they very quickly started to maneuver to do one of two things. Well, they probably simultaneously started to assess what was going on and start to clean up the mess. But also, what about the possibility of putting false documents out there that they knew Trump would see?
Yes, but I would like to first talk about your first point that you just kind of skipped across, because I thought that was the most interesting one, in that they had a really good idea of what Trump had. And they started to do so what would happen if he shared this with somebody? And then, like you said, doing an assessment of, working on
all the ramifications of that. How would that affect our people in the field? How would that affect our processes for intelligence gathering? So they started, they knew about it that early.
But if a problem occurred, they were already working on fixing that problem, because they knew the documents Trump had. So they would think, okay, he's got this document. If he shares that with the Saudis would then learn, they learn these codes. Let's change these codes, so
let's change the codes. Let's change the processes, and perhaps even, what if we start generating some decoy docs, some dummy docs, some things that...
And they couldn't do that with Trump, though, after he was president, because he only stole things during the time he was president. He didn't keep stealing things after Joe Biden became president.
But what we do not know is, while the intelligence agency had a very important role in keeping the president up to date and give him all the information that he was due as president. If they were aware of some malfeasance, some wrongdoing,
if they predicted, this guy's going to steal stuff and bring it back. Let's give him some false things. Is that what you're saying?
No, Sue Gorman is what we're calling this intelligence officer. Gordon. Well, if she was quite clear about their concern about his lack of concern and interest in intelligence matters and his inability to grasp how important keeping that national security documentation, though it was a sacred trust, and they could tell that he didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
they were concerned.
He did things like there was another thing I was reminded of today, where when he was still president, he was trying to kind of like brag about a failure in, I think it was Iran or something.
Oh, where he shared the photographs. A satellite photograph of the rubble on a rocket base where they had an unsuccessful launch where a rocket burned up, and he shared that. And if you remember, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to our listeners now. If you remember, this happened maybe in 2018. And everybody said, this is highly classified information. And he put it on his Twitter or something saying, Iran doesn't even know how to make a rocket half as good as I know how to make a rocket. But what then our enemies who are watching really closely, trying to figure out what we're doing, trying to figure out our abilities in espionage and all kinds of different things, they then are like, okay, well, we didn't know that this particular satellite existed, the satellite that took this photo. We do
now.
We
know, we can figure out the resolution of that satellite. We can, the camera on the satellite, we can figure out where the satellite is. We can maybe shoot the satellite out of the space.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just so dumb.
But a danger that I'm saying that these folks, although they did have a duty to inform him of the intelligence that they were so meticulously gathering, they also recognized that he was absolutely incapable of handling it properly.
Right.
So my guess is that within their job duties, they found a way to. I mean, this is conjecture. Maybe they found.
I remember that I kind of said it's kind of like when they mark the dollar bills at a bank so that they can find the bank robber.
Right.
They planted something, so they thought, okay, if this turns up, we will then be able to prove that Trump shared this.
Exactly. It wouldn't even
sold it.
It wouldn't even have to be a false document. It would be a marked document.
Yeah. Something like that.
That then could be the truth of where that went to and who exactly did the giving would be apparent. So my guess is that they knew all of this ahead of him losing the election.
Mm-hmm.
So Biden was 100% confident in his statement that Trump absolutely could not continue to receive intel briefings after he left the presidency.
And one of the main points that Biden made in that interview was that we can tell by Trump's behavior that he should no longer have access to this.
Right. So that leads you to believe that
they knew this all along.
Yes, this was observed behavior. And so it stands to reason that people concerned with keeping our country safe and keeping our secrets safe would have taken measures long before these documents were hauled out of Mar-a-Lago.
Out of the White House to Mar-a-Lago. Yeah.
Well, just the other day. Well, I guess, are they still there?
Okay. I see what you're saying. After the FBI took them back out of Mar-a-Lago.
They finally were able to retrieve them.
Well, but I guess you and I earlier today we were going even further and saying this. They had these notions before Trump hauled the stuff out of the White House to Mar-a-Lago.
Yes.
And
that begs the question, like, what? Why was he ever allowed to fill boxes with classified documents and remove them? So where were
It's-
those?
Yeah, exactly.
Where were those?
It seems
There were
like
no
people would have
guardrails.
stopped that.
If the guardrails were there, then they were Trump loyalists, and they absolutely have to be rooted out. Is that the Secret Service? Is that security at the White House? What is that?
We know now that even some of his closest, most fervent worshipers, like Pat Cipollone, was telling him, "You cannot take this stuff." So,
and somehow he managed to do it. They were sitting on the curb for a while. People had pictures of it. Why were there no guardrails up to stop that?
But this is why. And when you brought this up to me, I thought, oh man, it seems like you're really onto something, because seeing all these people talking about it, really smart people who have a lot of experience, having access themselves in the past to classified documents, and they all kind of chastise the DOJ. They say, why did they wait for 18 months? This is really important stuff. We're seeing now that, some of the codes that were on these documents in this photograph, in fact, were the thing that everybody was wondering the most: nuclear information. And so then, if the archives knew exactly what was missing, therefore knew what Trump had that he did not give up to the archives when he left the White House, why did they wait for 18 months? And that's why I think your idea, Heidi, I think they were going to let him commit more crimes. That they did an assessment that said that, okay, we know he has these things, and we know exactly what damage it'll do. We can litigate that damage. We can get rid of it.
Oh, not litigate. You can mitigate this damage. You can work
with an M, not an L.
You can work with you can work to contain that damage, because now you know what it is. So they had a year plus,
or that it's not really going to do much damage, and therefore let's let him sell it. Let's
catch him red-handed, basically.
Let's catch him, yes, exactly.
We absolutely they had to catch him red-handed, so that it would, because what you're looking at now is putting a president of the United States in jail.
For espionage.
So that has to be...
breaking the Espionage Act, which you've got to have your ducks in a line.
It has to be airtight. And
absolutely.
it's still going to create probably, one of the biggest crises in our nation's history. But, you could say that the biggest crises in our history was Trump ever getting in the White House. So.
Yeah, I remember writing on Facebook or something during the election in 2016, people talking about Trump being the president. And I said, well, I know that Trump being the president would be best for the planet Earth, because he will wipe out the human race. And the human race is basically the biggest problem that planet Earth has. But now I have a daughter, so I'm going to do all I can to make sure Trump does not become... I remember writing that in 2016. But, so yeah, the damage, a lot of damage has been done. And I've talked about that a lot before, if you've been listening to me on AM 950. Another thought that occurred to me was the whole Jared Kushner thing. We learned in Watergate to follow the money. Jared Kushner gets $2 billion from his buddy in Saudi Arabia at the same time that Donald Trump has these documents at Mar-a-Lago. Jared, just go over there, get the money, tell him I'll take a picture with my cell phone if I have to, and I'll upload it to his cell phone. But you go over there. I want you to get the cash first. Because they're just an amateur mobster family. And if Jared Kushner doesn't go down for something, I think that would be a worse atrocity than Donald Trump not going down for something.
Because he should have known better. He's slightly smarter, and he should have known what this represented.
But he's not smart enough to think that, I'm just I'm a hot young guy. That's what I think he thinks of himself, even though he kind of looks like a scary ghost zombie.
He's terrifying.
But
he is a bloodless zombie.
Yeah, and I remember somebody, Joe from New Jersey on Twitter called him his over exfoliated face. But
he has a very expensive facial scrub, I'm sure.
yes, but I was thinking, why is nobody talking about that $2 billion that Jared Kushner got?
Some people keep mentioning it, but
they
I
keep
think
mentioning it. But why is Rachel Maddow not doing something on it? People like that.
It's further down the line.
Or Mueller, she wrote. Why?
I think it's further down the line because they've got to stop what Trump's doing. They've got to stop what that's, they got to stop the espionage.
I think
first.
but I think on top of that, I think a lot of these really smart people like Mueller, she wrote woman and Peter Strzok and Rachel Maddow and Lawrence O'Donnell, people like that are going, let's let them do their work. We don't want to taint the criminal investigation on Jared Kushner by talking about it every night on cable TV. Let's find out some information first. And it almost makes it's almost the kind of thing that makes me feel like they know something that we don't know, and they know that it's best to kind of keep it underground for now. I really hope to see some problems.
I don't have a lot of faith that those people you just mentioned know something that we don't know. But I have a lot of faith in people like Peter Strzok.
Yeah.
Is that how you say his name?
I think so.
And
we're bad with names.
Sue Gordon.
Sue Gordon, Susan.
Jesus, this is terrible.
Shirley.
Nope, it's definitely Sue.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Sue, but I was so impressed with you. Your name just completely escaped my brain.
We remember faces really well, and we remember content of your character.
Just if you really if you wanna get the lowdown, you need to watch that interview between Nicole Wallace and her. Just aired a couple nights ago. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. It will shake you to your core. She was being
It aired on August 31st, 2022. I can say that.
Sue was being very, very professional and careful with her words. There were no wasted words, but as she laid out the ramifications of what this discovery of all this classified material means to our national security and all of the people and the work that goes into gathering intelligence to keep us safe. Well, it was rather terrifying, and I'm not overblowing it. It was pretty earth-shattering to hear her lay that out.
We are going to have some mind-blowing, hair-raising, scary information come out about this in the ensuing few weeks. I feel pretty sure that Trump is not going to be indicted and put in handcuffs at least before the midterm elections. But I don't think that matters.
I don't agree with you.
After more consideration and listening to more smart people over the last couple of days is the only time that I've come up with this, because I would normally be on your side.
It's going to happen right after the midterms then, if it's not.
Possibly. But what I think part of the reason why is that, first of all, they need to really line everything up. And the best way to do that is they have more people to bring in. For instance, his lawyers. Now his lawyers are witnesses. Mm-hmm. So they have to depose them, right? Which of course takes time, because then those lawyers have to lawyer up. The new MAGA stands for make attorneys get attorneys. If you're an attorney for Trump, you have to get an attorney. I didn't coin that phrase, and I can't remember the name of the guy. Bradley.
Oh, dude, don't even try. Don't even do it.
His first name is Bradley.
Don't even do it.
I remember that.
Okay.
Bradley Amos.
No.
And anyway, he gets the credit for it, even though I can't remember his name. But
the name forgetters. We're going to call this podcast The Name Forgetters.
Yeah. And we have so many apologies because we, but
I wanted to say, I don't know what we're doing on for time here, but I just want to say that there's a conversation that I had in 2016 with a neighbor of ours that keeps coming back to me again and again and again. We had a conversation. I knew that we weren't probably seeing eye to eye on politics, but we were discussing the upcoming presidential election. it might have just been a back and forth on Facebook, but he's doing some Hillary bashing, and I said, hey, I guess I can understand why you might not be super fond of Hillary, but Trump scares the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of left it at that. And I remember that conversation multiple times. That has come to me multiple times because it was a pretty heated, I'm just, giving you the meat of it, but it was a pretty heated back and forth because I was really sick of all the Hillary hating. And, I knew that I thought this guy was just being, I thought he was a relatively intelligent dude. And the fact, some of the stuff he was bringing up in Trump's defense was just absurd to me. So I was getting a little concerned, and the conversation was getting heated. And then, that's kind of where we ended it. Basically, I have not spoken to that person, my next door neighbor, since election night 2016. But that aside, I think about that conversation quite a lot because, man, was I right.
But still, it's Obama that divided our nation to the likes of which nobody's ever seen. She hates my
divided
Trump.
Us between the white supremacists and the non-white supremacists, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. She's very sick of. She's sick of Trump. That's why she hates my.
I can't listen
I sound
to his
exactly
voice.
like him.
You
right?
sound exactly like him, and every time he comes on, I got to shut it off.
It's a compliment,
that's happened
but it's
for
also
many years. Can't listen to that man's voice.
Even our daughter Eve told me that she never wants to hear me imitate Trump again. But I can't stop. We're doing the satellite view. I'm Todd Mikkelson,
and I'm Heidi Marty.